Warning, censorship. Warning, censorship.
What's going on, guys? K2 here with Rebel News. For over a year now, we have seen buildings burnt down, stores looted, and governments being pressured by radicals to not only defund the police, but abolish them too. These trained Marxists aren't only in America, they're in Calgary too. So I went to an Abolish protest to find out what they're all about and figure it out for myself. Going into this, initially I wanted to check out how the police treated them, mainly to find similarities and inconsistencies to how they treat the freedom movement. So I asked two of the police patrolling what their plans are.
Do you guys have like a distinction between the two, like the way you guys look at it?
There very well could be. It's just like it's not at our level. Like we're strictly with diversity, so yeah. So we're just trying to make sure that we make the contacts with people that are the leaders, so that way we can hopefully work with them in the future to try to make sure that both sides have a say in what happens, so that we can have the distancing, or we can influence kind of how they go. Okay. Yeah, our role is not enforcement. Like our role is not the enforcement.
Like
piece
just you guys.
Like, yeah. I mean, could there be plans? That's not us. Yeah.
Yeah. If there's other officers or people aren't abiding by, whether it's the masking or the organizing, that could be taken care of. You've been out for the last few weekends. You know, there's the new board bench order, but we don't we're not serving that. Our role is it, but I'm not saying that AHS or other police officers in a different capacity could do that.
After finding my seat, I was approached by a volunteer asking me to go to the back until I could prove myself worthy.
It's a protest against police brutality today. If you sincerely saw this on Facebook, I believe you would have known that.
Yeah, abolish the police, yeah.
So, our concern here is having interlopers that really aren't here for the right reasons.
Okay.
So, I'm going to ask you for now to sit at the back, if you can.
Yeah.
If you're here for the right reasons, that'll prove itself over the next couple of hours. But for now, if you could distance yourself from the rest of the crowd, that'd be great.
How do I prove that so I can broadcast this?
Follow directions for the next little bit.
Okay.
I respected that, knowing I could still get a shot, until they made sure I didn't. I made friends with one of the other volunteers who gave me the go-ahead to walk around and join their group. And here's how that went. I recognized one of the main speakers, one of the neighbors' friends of Pastor Arthur's church here in Calgary, so I asked her what she was doing at this protest.
So I think first and foremost, for people who call the police, they are a very elite group of people that actually get police to come to their calls. So first there has to be that understanding is that just because I call 911 doesn't mean I get the same level of service that a white person would get. So because of that, we have been learning how to police ourselves, our community, without police intervention because they won't come and help us. In fact, when they do, they create trauma and actually create the very institutions that are supposed to support people with mental health issues and trauma. So they're very insidious in the fact that most Canadians feel quite safe calling 911, but not all people of color or Indigenous do, because we don't necessarily get the help or support that we do. So while it may seem very intimidating for white people to not have police, that's because the police have always protected them and not the rest of the community.
We don't identify for a lot of reasons. First and foremost, I was raised by my white father. Why would I think I'm Native? I think white, I talk white, I was raised white, I was in a white community.
The police stayed far back. The main two patrolled and the protesters were not happy about it. The helicopters circled for 10 minutes, but no encounters because they were wearing masks.
That's not us, yeah.
Yeah, if there's other officers or people aren't abiding by whether it's the masking or the organizing, that could be taken care of.
The police say the group are following public health guidelines. However, the Alberta Health Services site only mentions not having gathering larger than 5 with people outside of your household. Meanwhile, at the lockdown protest, with similar conditions, they are treated much differently. And to add on this, in Alberta, we've seen 2 pastors and 1 businessman arrested under an Alberta Health Services restraining order that prevents the promotion, attendance at, or the organization of illegal public gatherings, which is anything that doesn't conform to the public health limitations of just 5 people in attendance outside, as well as masks and social distance protocols. And even though that restraining order was amended to just include 2 specific people named in it, police are still using it to crack down on the free assembly rights of Jane and John Doe Calgarians. We're not all Jane and John Doe Calgarians, as you'll see later.
Right now, while we're working on these big systemic changes through like action and policy change, we also need to be caring for each other on the ground. So like, if you have the material ability to donate to a sex worker, do it. Feed somebody on the corner, do it. Like, stop calling the cops on people that are stealing food at the grocery store. Like, abolition starts with killing the cop in your head.
Pull a random vehicle over and beat the fuck out of them. Fuck the police! Fuck the police! Fuck the police! Fuck the police! Yes! Yes! Racism! Racism!
CBS 4 News produces.
But
we are concerned about trouble running irresponsible one-sided news stories plaguing our country.
The sharing of biased and false news has become all too common on social media. More alarming, some media outlets publish these same fake stories without checking facts first.
This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
Use their platforms to push their own personal bias and agenda to control exactly what people think. Exactly what people think.
This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
Rebel News is one of the only news sources nationwide that is state-sponsored, which means that we're unscripted. We say things that the government doesn't like. We say things that YouTube doesn't like. YouTube is updating its terms of services on June 1st, which could wipe us off the map completely. So what I want you to do is go to rebelnews.com, give us your email, your phone number, whatever you can provide us so that we can stay in touch. rebelnews.com. I ended up following them to City Hall as they said they were going to be continuing there. Little did I know that the Defund the Police protest would be merging with a larger pro-Palestinian protest. The story got much bigger than I had imagined, and so did the police presence. Right away, I noticed an Israeli flag. Well, you know I had to check that out.
I'm just standing here, I'm Israeli, I'm Jewish, I'm proud of it, I don't need to hide it. And much like every single person here can stand up for their identity, I can stand up for mine, right? My homeland's been barraged with over 4,000 rockets in the past 2 weeks. I grew up in a city where buses were blowing up left, right, and center. I feel I have the right to stand for my country and for my people, for my family, for myself. There was a kind of circle of people closed in on me. Nobody threw any punches or anything like that, right? Said some profanities to me and whatnot, gave me some fingers, and then these lovely officers helped bring me over here and keeping me safe, and they're doing a great job.
Do you think it's weird that anti-fascism is calling for the persecution of Jews?
I think it's really weird because it's anti-fascism, right? It's a double-sworded, like, you know what I mean? It's like a, oh man, I'm lost for words right now.
Just ignore him. Over there.
Sorry guys.
Nothing. It's like a bug on the left. Free Palestine!
The police did a fine job, and rightly so. That man needed protection. However, the police didn't surprise me when it came to the march. With zero social distancing, minimal masks, and no tickets. Check this out. Coming to an end, it was mostly peaceful. Supposedly it met the Alberta guidelines enough for no tickets or arrests to be made. Still, some chose not to follow those rules. For anyone wondering, the standalone Israeli man got home safe, and if you're watching this dude, God bless your brave soul. But I'd still like to ask why I was able to go to these protests too so smoothly. Because I wanted to leave this until the end, but look who I saw as I was walking into the protest.
Hello friends, this is Pastor Peter Riker. I came down to the streets today at Street Church to volunteer my services to feed the homeless, help minister, help bring a prayer, bring a word of encouragement to anybody who needed it. And they served me. They served me with this order that was for the whistle stop. It's a little wet right now. So they served me with the whistle stop that was for Christopher Scott, whistle stop, Glenn Carrot, and the famous Jane and John Doe. So this was an order that was put May 6th. It was amended May 13th, and then here we had another date dated the 18th of May, in which the police officer just notified me that Jane and John Doe are back on the list. So we're going to have to find that out for sure, and we'll be in contact with fightthefines.com, I guess, and we thank Rebel Media for their service to the community.
So I guess there was police pressure and they were out to get people, but just pastors trying to feed the homeless. Care to comment, Calgary Police? K2, Rebel News. What's going on, guys? K2 here with Rebel News. I have to tell you two things. Number one, mainstream media will not tell you the truth about what just happened right there. They're not going to tell the other people's side of the stories. Number two, big tech doesn't want you to see it. So what I want you to do is go to rebelnews.com. Put your email in so we can stay in touch, so we can send it directly to you in case we get deplatformed again. That's rebelnews.com. K2 out.